Ooh, it's so bright. Good morning, folks. I think today's the 3rd or the 4th. It's a Saturday. It's been a few days of August. I'm here at the Lyneham Wetland. There is a Pinana setup of some sort. I think that's a Pinana sort of birthday setup. Teo's just having a nice time in the wetlands. I've had a bit of a trauma response this morning. I was thinking about how I used to do work for Writing for Disability, and I was trying to get my 120 hours of recreational and health work experience, and I wasn't sure how I was going to be able to do that because I had lost my I've been banned and I had a case open with child services when I had an accident in the morning. So my dog had a broken leg and he was hit by a car, and my daughter, 11 months, had rolled over his leg while I was in the bathroom. So I had a trauma response, and ever since then, actually, I've had trauma responses every morning. Most mornings, actually. Some mornings more than others. So this particular morning, it was at 3 a.m. when I was thinking about how I can or cannot get the license. Might talk to my lawyer and my case manager, because it'd be really handy if I could. He's really having a good time, isn't he? Running around, chasing ducks, etc., etc. So I just realized that it was a period of time that was triggering my trauma response, because I think when there's trauma in your brain doesn't really associate whether it's still present or past. It just associates the triggers. So the morning is a trigger, or going to see my daughter at any point, like the zoo or at the National Museum, or a class or a parenting class is a trigger, because that's when the accident happened and she was involved. So she didn't cause it, but she was involved in part of the accident. So trauma response are really tough, because your brain doesn't really make much sense. It just says you need to do something that makes you feel safe. And for me, it was staying in the blanket from 6 till 7 o'clock and not waking up till 8, which was not helpful. But the dog came and hugged me. And when I say a doggy hug, it means like he'll come and he'll sit next to you, and then he'll lick your hand, and then he'll press down on your arm, and then he'll put your arms between his chest, and then you'll be able to cradle his face. And that is his version of a hug. And that's really important, because a hug is how you know, you wake up in the morning. So I was really lucky. Hi, good morning. I had my hug, and that gentleman's going for his walk. He just said hi to me and the dog. Come on, let's go. Come on. And that hug just gives you that oxytocin to make you feel safe. So he is my trauma response. He was also my trauma response when my dad passed, which was really tough. I can't remember what time of day I learned about the news. My ex-husband left me. So really the dog was a huge trauma response dog. So I invite you to think about your traumas in mindful living and ZenSpa. I've been practicing this meditation thing called radical acceptance. And my teacher told me not to accept the bad things that happen to you, but accept that it's just a reality of, you know, when people say that's what God wants for you, or what God wants for your daughter, or what the life, you know, that God wants for you. God gave me this great dog that survived the whole traumatic car accident, being at DAS, Animal Protection, for 4 months, being looked after. My daughter's well taken care of and is now developing into potty training. Of course I miss seeing her every day, but it's a trauma response, not seeing her every day. And radical acceptance is understanding how life is and how it is at the present. And I still have my dog, which is great. He's the best, and he's innocent. And I'm innocent too. And I'll always think back to the sleep clinic lady who's like, my gosh, your child was taken for that. that's a flaw in the system. You know, you're not at all an incapable mother, and she has ADHD too. And I just thought, wow, at least someone else thinks my story is someone else is very sympathetic of my story. And I can't get back 5 years of every day of my daughter's life, nor would I expect to, but I've got what I've got. I've got the great zoo visits, and I've got the great dog. And sometimes if God gives you a man to love, you love him. If God gives you a dog to love, you love him. If God gives your daughter this great family, you try to love them too. But anyway, I have to head to work. That's all for today, folks. Signing off at Mama's Palms, me and KO at the back there. Catch you soon. Don't forget, practice mindfulness for your trauma response. That's all, folks. ZenSpa-Hypa.